Got to give the people. Get it, people. What they want. People want to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. I want you to write this down. I pre-wrote it. You might need to pause it, but make sure you get all this down. Here's the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. I can talk fast because you can pause. First thing we're going to do is solve this quadratic right here. Okay? So remember, why do we use the quadratic formula? Question pops up. We use the quadratic formula to solve any quadratic equations. Sometimes we can solve them by factoring, sometimes we can solve them algebraically, sometimes we could solve them, there's another one, by graphing, but we can always solve them by using the quadratic formula, okay? So, notice, we see B's and A's and C's. Remember, we have my A value, my B value, and my C value. And we use those values to plug in to this equation. All right, so you go ahead and plug it into this equation while I do. Okay, so negative b is 9, so I'm going to put a 9 plus or minus square root. B is 9, so I'm going to put 9 squared minus 4 times a. What was a? A was 1 times c. What was c? C is 14. Boom. I got that whole part over 2 times a, which is 1. Alright, so you should plug that whole thing in right there. So this is what we have. Now we just have to solve this part. Alright, so let me just check, make sure, see what you can see. Oh yeah, you can see a lot. So I'm going to just figure out what's happening inside of here. So I'm going to take the square root of 9 times 9 is 81 minus 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 14, I don't know. 14 times 4, 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1. It's like a 56. 16 carry the 1, 56. Now I gotta figure out what in the world is 81 minus 56. I don't know, 11 minus 6 is 5. Looks like 25. So I end up with the square root of 25 here, okay? So I just did all that work on the inside, and this turned into the square root of 25. That's not a 5. Square root of 25 plus or minus negative 9 over 2, okay? So that's where I am so far. I'm going to actually rewrite that over here. Negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 25 over 2. So you can see that. Now, I'm going to make sure you can see that. Oh, yeah, you can. Okay? So, well, I know negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 25 is 5 over 2. Okay? So now I'm in good shape. This means I have two things. I have negative 9 plus 5 over 2, or, what's the other thing I'm going to have? Negative 9 minus 5 over 2, right? That's what the plus or minus means. So now I'm just going to finish this piece off. I'm going to say, well, negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. Is that correct? Yep, negative 4 over 2, which equals negative 4 divided by 2 equals negative 2. Here is one of my answers. Negative 9 minus 5 is negative 14 over 2. And negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. Here is my second answer. So the quadratic formula just told me, through all that work, that my two zeros are negative 2 and negative 7. My x-intercepts of this quadratic equation are at negative 2 and negative 7 when y equals 0. Just want to show you something real quick. Make sure you get this piece down. What was that original equation again? Oh yeah, it said x squared plus 9x plus 14 equals 0, okay? And we said my answers were negative 2 and negative 7. Oh, look at this. What if I had factored this and did an x problem? 14, 9, 2, and 7. Ooh, no, excuse me, just 2 and 7, right? We got x plus 2, x plus 7 equals 0. And if I was to solve those, x plus 2 equals 0, minus 2, minus 2, x equals -2. Same thing that we just got. X plus 7 equals 0, minus 7, minus 7, x equals -7. Same answers. So the big question might be, well, Mr. Bass, why in the world would we use this whole big, fat, ugly quadratic formula if I could just factor it? I want you to think about that. Now that you thought about it, you came up with an idea. The reason why you would need to do this is because every equation that I write like this, you will not be able to factor. And when you can't factor this equation, you can always go to the quadratic formula. That's it, Bass. I'm out. People.